Hi, everybody, and welcome to our newest episode of 21st Century Underground. Today we will be discussing the film Uncut Gems, which released late last month by the Safdie Brothers, starring Adam Sandler. I am Salvatore. I'm the writer of the group of this collection of creatives, and today we actually have a guest with us. I'll let him introduce himself.
What's up? My name is Tim Xayasomloth. I am a writer / filmmaker / podcaster.
Exactly. And your podcast, actually, if you want to shout out the name of your podcast.
Oh, yeah. My podcast is Two Guys in a Film. It is available on all streaming services. It is basically me, who considers himself a film expert, trying to explain to my friend Dominique, who is a casual film goer. I try to show him films that I believe are significant to film history.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I show him a lot of, as somebody who's a fan of, like, Fast and the Furious, Avengers, I try to show him shit like 400 Blows and like French
Bicycle
Thieves.
And he's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm trying to explain to him, like, I know you know it's bullshit. I'm trying to explain to you why this is important. So.
It's a very funny podcast. I've listened to the episodes that you've released. So you guys are on a hiatus temporarily, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna be back to our regular scheduling every Friday. The new episode is going to be Moonlight, which is my personal pick for movie of the decade.
Oh, great. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. That follows the theme of our previous episode, actually. That's
exactly.
Good. Yes.
Segue. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. We appreciate that.
And by the way, there was a lot of flicks that we kind of missed on. If
I've got a whole list. I'm going to touch on that.
Yeah, we'll touch on it in a second. But
Barry Jenkins is on the list, but go ahead, Brandon.
Brandon Salas, business owner, production company, Samsara Studios. I also produce films, direct films, director of photography. Moviegoer,
yeah, movie lover, most importantly. The creating, consuming, just the craft, the process,
the digesting,
digesting, shitting it out, poking around in there, see what's left,
and bathing all over,
bathing in it, yeah.
Mike,
all around.
I'm Mike Villarreal, and I am a producer. I make just music, and I work on other people's films to do audio.
Yeah, he's worked on several of ours. Yeah, I think we mentioned that.
Yes, he's worked on a couple of our projects. We're in the process of working on one. We had a pretty juicy meeting not too long ago about what we're going to go with.
We figured out the soundtrack. We nailed that down. Which is a good segue, because I wanted to take a moment, because this is a podcast for creatives, and we want to kind of, sort of impart our process and kind of what we're going through in our audience, and kind of let you in on it, so that we kind of have a dialogue about
as much as it's about
our journey together. Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of want to go around and kind of see what everybody's working on. Mike, you're the last to introduce yourself if you want to go ahead and start.
Well, I'm currently working on your guys' film Paralyzed, and the opening. I want to do another opening to this podcast, and I also want to do a beat, just some music.
You had something on your mind recently?
Yeah, I kind of want to do a dance tune.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, my computer's down. So gotta get it sent repaired.
Hey, well, cheer it up.
I'll cheer it up. Gotta get it sent to the Mac fixture guys and fix it up.
All right.
That's me.
I'm working on that said film, Paralyzed. That's something that Salvatore and I worked on together. We he wrote it, and then we directed it together. We filmed that back in October. I think we mentioned that before.
Brandon did the editing, and I watched.
Yes.
And helped. I made little inputs out of it. Yeah.
We worked together on the edit. We have a rough cut now. We're still working on sound and just getting that finalized. I was thinking about even starting to work on some of the marketing pieces for it, because
that's business owner. That's the business owner.
You got to cover all your angles. So
nice.
Got some ideas for the trailer too. But
really?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Doing a podcast, obviously working on my commercial works and everything like that. So it's gonna be a busy month. Business side of things, I'm doing a lot of work at PBS this month, so that's gonna be fun. I always like working with them. So
cool. Right now, I am working on my senior thesis film. I'm currently a film student at Arizona State University. It is called True Identity. It is it's an exploration of a mixed child and his Asian mother. Salvatore knows about the story.
I was going to say,
I feel like I read the script too.
Did I send it to you? Yeah, I think I did send it to you. I read the script. It's very good. Yeah. I really like it. Yeah.
Besides that, also doing my podcast, Two Guys in a Film, available on all streaming services.
There you go.
Got to get the plug whenever I can.
Yeah.
Besides, and What else am I doing? I'm also going to be a contributing writer for the Arizona State University State Press website. So you can catch all my writing on that.
We were discussing that the other night, actually, at work. Yeah, me and Tim are coworkers.
Yeah, that's how we know each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so
really?
I didn't just like walk in randomly.
Hey,
Hey, you guys are doing a
all
podcast?
coworkers?
yeah, you guys talking about Uncut Gems?
Yeah.
I see that you're talking about Uncut Gems over there.
Yeah. I'll just don't mind if I do.
But yeah, most of my writing is pretty much on pop culture, movies, music, things like that. So
Heck yeah.
be on the lookout for that.
Cool. Yeah, well, me currently, I've actually, I've been working on Paralyzed with Brandon. We've been doing the editing, the whole post-production process. Like we had a
Hashtag. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we had like a whirlwind weekend basically where we shot that entire thing. I mean, actually, everyone here was involved at some point with that. But yeah, we shot the whole film in basically 2 days and then did a bunch of pickups in the following days. I mean, we had one kind of big day at night.
Yeah, it was like 2.5
following that.
really.
But yeah, I mean, the bulk of it was really just like a big 2-day thing. We're just darting around town and kind of doing stuff around the house, different shots around the house because I conveniently wrote it so that we could film it mostly in this location that we definitely had. But yeah, no. So we're working on the post production now and working with Mike to kind of get the soundtrack down. I've actually started writing. I mean, I don't know how much I want to go into this, but I've been doing like a ton of research actually, and have been writing a lot for like kind of like what I think is going to be like a novel that I kind of want to write. So I've been pretty excited about that because it's something I've wanted to do and actually did do as like a teenager a little bit, and I had these ones that I didn't really do anything with that probably weren't very good in retrospect, but like now I've kind of settled on kind of what I want to do, and I feel really good about it. So I've got a lot of research that needs to get done, so it'll probably be a long time before I have anything finished, but for the first time the research doesn't feel like procrastination. It feels like a very necessary step in the process. So that's good. And yeah, I'm actually really excited about the way that's going. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully at some point I'll be able to, provide
Bring
a link where people can get a self-published or published book. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's kind of what I've been working on. And then I'm going to try to get more active with my blog, the Neon Codex, again. I just recently paid for the domain again, so it feels like I should probably.
So the neoncodex.com?
The neoncodex.com.
The neon?
Neoncodex.com.
Neoncodex.com.
Drop the.
Drop the. You can find it at my Instagram page, which will be linked.
At the Neon Codex.
Yeah, that one has the. It's very confusing, but I mean, some 14-year-old in South Dakota or whatever already had my name. So
Fuck South Dakota.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I love all my South Dakota listeners.
Yeah, I love all my South
He's from
Dakotans. Yeah, whoever they are. Yeah, the one random guy who comes in that was going to follow us, and he's like, "Fuck you."
Lost me.
Talking shit about my hometown.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm from Cincinnati, but I don't appreciate the sentiment.
That's just negative.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, that's what we're working on. And that's kind of a big thing that we're going to be doing with this podcast is kind of like, giving you the inside track on what we're doing and I don't know how things are going for us, but it's a good idea to kind of share with the internet and kind of have that dialogue going. And then also our last episode was the 2010s. We, in our, I guess, hubris, tried to sort of cover the entire decade. And of course, as I was re-listening to that episode, I realized that there were a ton of fucking things that we missed that I wish that we could have had on.
Well, it's
there.
tough. We're only an hour, but hey, I think that says a lot about what the artists that we did mention too.
No, it's true because they stood out to us. Because that was the whole point, honestly. Initially, was we want the ones that struck us the most personally. But even so, there were more that I wanted to go over personally. Even some that were in our image for the posts that we did.
Many. Wow,
What's up? Yeah, there were way too many. But in any event, I've prepared a list that I'm going to
go.
just read off.
Hit us.
I kind of go by.
Wait, Tim, do a beat.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
I was not prepared for this.
Are you gonna rap this?
No. Okay. All right. Here we go. Florence and the Machine, Sturgill Simpson, Arcade Fire, Post Malone, Janelle Monáe, Tyler the Creator, The Weeknd, Hot Ones, The Joe Rogan Experience, Damien Chazelle, Barry Jenkins, Denis Villeneuve, the film Mother by Darren Aronofsky, Mad Max Fury Road, which for my money is like one of the best action films of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan. Important point about Christopher Nolan past decade. Everything that he's done, it's all of his big budget movies post Batman, post The Dark Knight really, have come in this decade, starting with Inception, then you've got Interstellar, Dunkirk, so that whole phase was this decade where he was doing the big budget blockbusters. Greta Gerwig, Tommy Orange, Elif Batuman, Zadie Smith, Karl Ove Nosgard, Rachel Kushner, late Stephen King, I mean, I hope he lives a long time after this, but let's be honest, it's late in his
He
career.
did a lot of cocaine.
He did. Yeah. His heart's just gonna give out.
I don't know if he's got long left.
That's true.
If anything,
That's a fair point.
he's probably going to have to start doing cocaine.
No, I know,
again.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
just to keep his heart going. Yeah. Haruki Murakami again, probably late. Haruki Murakami's getting a little bit older.
He runs though, so
He does run. He's in much better
healthy-
shape. No, that's
yeah.
true. His addictive traits, he's had less of them.
He's addicted to jazz.
He is. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very addicted to fucking jazz. And then Hiro Kawakami. I'm probably pronounced her name wrong, but she's a female writer from Japan. Very, very good. She's done a couple novels with Strange Weather in Tokyo. She's really good. And it's kind of a big deal, too, because there were very few female writers out of Japan for a long time. And then that's like recently been a thing that's kind of been breaking out, in like the last 10, 20 years. We've been seeing more and more. So anyway, and I think that's basically everything that was on my list. I mean, we could shout out Martin Scorsese for Silence and The Irishman and shit like that, but it's just gonna get
Game of
ridiculous if we keep
Thrones,
talking about this. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna throw the rules out. That's what
Can
I'm
I
gonna
add
do.
one person?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Hell
Please do.
yeah.
Yeah, please do.
Ryan Coogler.
Ryan,
oh,
yes,
yeah,
Ryan
we actually
Coogler.
talked about
We
that.
talked about him briefly. Yeah, briefly.
Ryan Coogler did Fruitvale Station, Creed, which was honestly a much better film than it had any right to
I
be.
agree. I thought that same thing when I watched it.
I was like,
yeah.
I remember when I first heard the movie idea for Creed, I was like, this sounds dumb as hell.
Yeah, this is gonna be a stupid
But then I
passion.
watched it,
Yeah.
and
Hey,
I was
the
like,
Coogler
it's
got
such-
it.
Yeah, the Coogler got it. And then, Black Panther, which is
Yeah.
a very significant film.
One of the best Marvel
Oh.
movies.
Shia LaBeouf too.
Shia
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 LaBeouf.
LaBeouf has gone through a transformation. I agree.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf and Robert Pattinson. Have definitely
Robert
gone through it.
Pattinson for sure, and we will use
That-
that
yeah, as our segue.
to pivot into.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really good. We are talking today about the new film, as I mentioned, Uncut Gems by the Safdie Brothers. But first, we want to introduce you to who the Safdie Brothers are and what they mean to us and how we've gushed over them basically since 2017 when we saw Good Time.
Yes.
So basically, mine and Brandon's, our introduction to them was Good Time, which came out in 2017. It was kind of still a smaller release, even though they were kind of picking up some steam.
Yeah.
After heaven knows what. But yeah, it was a film starring Robert Pattinson, sort of a gritty crime drama, and he has a mentally handicapped brother who he pulls into robbing a bank with him, and then they're going to try to use this money to sort of in a almost fairy tale type way get out of the city and go live on a farm or whatever it was their idea. Yeah. And obviously everything goes wrong, and his brother ends up in Rikers Island, and then basically the entire movie is Robert Pattinson sort of just digging the hole deeper and deeper, trying to get his brother out of Rikers by getting enough bail money to get him out of there and get him to what he thinks is right for him. We need to I know what's right for you, he says in the movie, and you know what I mean.
And right from the beginning, it's super fast paced. I mean, they get you through the portion of the first heist to basically the goal of the movie is just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Shot after shot, scene after scene, scene after scene. And it's just a fast paced journey the whole way through. And
Super
Fast paced.
Yeah.
Somewhat anxiety filled,
Yeah.
adrenaline filled.
so realistic and
paranoid.
gritty. Yeah.
Claustrophobic.
for sure. Yeah.
Like an addict. Like
Yes.
he's trying to get the next score.
He's addicted
Score,
to
fix.
the score almost. The characters in those
Yeah.
movies are addicts, but heaven knows what, they were all heroin addicts. But in the successive two films, Good Time and Uncut Gems, which we'll get more into, they were addicts, but for something else. You know what I mean? For this need to, I don't know. You know what I mean? The need to gratify some ideal. You know what I mean? Robert Pattinson was literally their plan was to rob this bank and then go live on a farm in Virginia or something, and they had this almost unrealistic expectation. And Robert Pattinson's character, he keeps utilizing every possible opportunity to try to get the money to get his brother out. You know what I mean? It's a very addict kind of mindset that he has. It's I just got this one goal and I got to get it, and then everything will be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It becomes more and more unrealistic because he's clearly, the cops are after him. You know what I mean? He's gaining attention.
He's just every scenario he's screwing up, and the screw ups just keep on multiplying, and you feel the way
you see him cornering himself.
The way the stakes just continuously raise nonstop. It's very
Actually, I watched it with my friend Alex recently too. I've watched this movie about 10 times because I've just showed it to a bunch of different people, and his thought was the scene. We're watching the movie, and I think we're getting towards the third act, and there's another driving scene where you see Robert Pattinson. They have a lot of sort of, I guess they would be drone shots probably, or helicopter shots of the car going down the road. And he said, a thought just struck my mind, a phrase, a rat in a maze. And that's exactly what Robert Pattinson feels like throughout that whole movie. And the maze just gets tighter and tighter with every decision that he makes. It's a turn closer to this dead end where, the jig is going to be up. and it was great. It was a great movie.
Can we take a quick pause real quick?
Yeah.
I just need you to adjust your mics real quick.
The fuck?
It's your.
You don't adjust shit.
Are you adjusting
it's
my mic
bugging
too?
me. Just,
Oh, yeah.
Both you two.
Hey,
Okay.
I'm cool.
Yeah. What about Tim?
I'm cool.
Yeah.
hold on.
Okay. All right.
Solid.
No worries.
But
yeah, Brandon-
We're on a brief pause. Well, no, screw it. We might as well go. I was gonna say, should we backtrack real quick and cover the beginning of the Safdie Brothers, or should we just go and continue on the good time track?
Yeah. No. Let's go. Yeah. Let's jump around a little bit. Yeah. So.
So what was your final answer?
What about
was that
what?
yes to going?
Yeah. No, let's go back and
Okay.
let's talk about the
All right.
Safdie Brothers. Yeah.
Well, let's look at it. Okay,
Okay,
I got it.
so
I got it.
what-
I'll
hey,
do
how
it, I'll
about-
do it.
Why don't we go into the movie and then talk about?
Well, we got plenty of time to still talk about the Safdie Brothers a little bit.
Yeah, because we scheduled
Yeah.
Safdie Brother time.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I have 1% left on my phone, so my ability to time things might run out in a
Well,
minute.
shit, we all got phones here.
Okay. All right.
It's the 21st century.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Underground.
Ah.
Let's see here. Stopwatch. All right, I'm ready whenever. I'm going to turn yours off. Will you?
All right, I'm at 3 minutes, so we got 7 left to talk about them if we want.
Okay. So, but real quick, Salvatore, let's back up a little bit.
Back it up?
Back it up.
All right, let's
talk
back
to
it
me.
up.
I know you know a little bit more. Like, talk to me about the origins of the Safdie Brothers.
Oh man. Well, yeah, two brothers. Two brothers from New York. Have been popular in the film festival circuit basically. I think since like Daddy Long Legs kind of been gaining more and more steam. Yeah, just loved movies. I know they loved John Cassavetes, and that kind of like informed their kind of gritty, close to the ground kind of style of filmmaking, where they're kind of like willing to do things like guerrilla and for low budgets and very character driven. But yeah, they're great. My knowledge of them is mostly with Heaven Knows. It's like the last 3 movies that they've done, which I'm going to refer to colloquially as the Filthy Neon trilogy. The Heaven Knows What, Good Time, and Uncut Gems. Very much kind of form like a conceptual trilogy. And the first movie I saw by them was Good Time. Then I went back and saw Heaven Knows What, and then I watched Uncut Gems just recently. And that's all I've seen by them so far. I want to go back and watch Daddy Long Legs and even their documentary. But yeah, it's I don't know. Their style is clearly been on like a track with like these sort of fast-paced electronic soundtrack, kind of tight movies about characters who are addicted to some end result.
35 millimeter.
What's up?
I feel like they're always on a. 35.
It seems like it's the same. Yeah. Is it?
Right?
Is that, do you know that?
That's
to
about
be-
35 millimeter. I know Uncut Gems was shot and Good Time was shot on 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Heaven Knows What looked very similar, so I'm
must
assuming
have
it
some
was
facts
too.
over
But
here.
yeah, like they've been doing these like really tight character studies about these, and it seems like they actually get tighter and tighter as time goes on. But Heaven Knows What was about heroin addicts living homeless in New York City. That was very compelling. They actually met the woman whose story it was, who stars in the film as herself. While they were researching Uncut Gems, because they wanted to do this movie like 10 years ago, right after Daddy Long Legs, which was like their second or third movie.
Yeah, it came out in like 2008.
Yeah, and, like, they wanted to. 2009 is when they started doing the research for Uncut Gems, and I guess they ran into her while they were doing research in the Diamond District because she was working there temporarily, and they got her story and like that's amazing, that's really compelling. Let's do a movie about that. And so they did that. And then they ended up, I guess Robert Pattinson connected with them after that because he saw a still.
Poster?
He saw the poster. Yeah, it was her face sort of drenched in neon. And he was like, I want to make a movie with you guys. And then they met Robert Pattinson, kind of got a sense of his energy, and then wrote Good Time for him.
Like instantly
Yeah.
inspired.
Yeah. I know. By Robert Pattinson, I'm just like, damn. Which is, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And then finally, after all these sort of road stops, they were able to finally do Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, which is what they initially intended. But I guess they went through, because obviously the studio wanted them to use other people. I think Harvey Keitel was a contender. Jonah Hill, I think, at one
Apparently,
point.
Jonah Hill was like the last one right before
Yeah.
they went back to Adam Sandler.
Right.
From what I read.
There was one other person too. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, they went through a couple different people and ended up finally getting Sandler for it. Actually, Good Time gave them some steam to really work with, and they were able to finally do Uncut Gems, which is this film that they've been trying to make for about 10 years. It's been a passion project because I know that their dad actually worked in the Diamond District and had all these stories, and it inspired this. But yeah, they've had a really interesting run over the last 10 years, for sure.
Tim, you said that you watched. You said you saw Daddy Long Legs and Good Time.
Good Time and Uncut Gems. Yeah.
Well, so what was your impression before we get into like Uncut Gems? Kind of like so, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
he's the freshest on the boat here.
Me and Brandon have been gushing over the Safdie Brothers and Robert Pattinson since we saw it 2 years
Nonstop.
ago. In fact, I think did I tell you to watch Good Time?
Yeah.
I feel like because
You told me
was
to
a
watch
Good Time.
Good Time,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, these are the guys that did Daddy Longlegs.
Oh, you had seen it
Oh,
before.
I
had
Oh,
seen it
okay, cool,
before.
cool.
Yeah.
Because, so Mike's only seen Uncut Gems and 5 minutes of the intro.
Yeah, we showed him
just
about
now.
5-10 minutes of Good Time before this, and then Brandon's seen Good Time and Uncut Gems. Tim has watched Daddy Longlegs, Good Time, and Uncut Gems, and I've just seen the three: the Heaven Knows What, Good Time, and Uncut Gems. Yeah.
So based purely off of just Good Times and Daddy Longlegs, what got you interested in like their?
No, well, first of all, for Daddy Longlegs, I was just looking because it's a very like amateur DIY type film. I think they only made it with like $50,000, which in film, as you know, is like
Very, very little.
That's
Yeah.
like stuff you find in your couch, you know. So I was just looking up stuff because I was very influenced. I was trying to do my own thing, so I was watching this, and it's based on their experience with their father,
Yeah.
who was going through a divorce at the time. It's very different, but it's kind of hard to explain. It's very different, but very much the same as like the style they develop now. You kind of see like the early workings of their style, where it's like this very kind of I guess frantic, like you
Yeah.
know, close up kind of style. I know they're inspired a lot by like Italian filmmakers, Italian
Oh, okay.
neorealism.
Bresson too, right? French.
Yeah.
I feel like French is played into it too.
And British realism, so Mike Lee,
Oh, cool.
things like that.
like Naked and
But
yeah.
they said like Bicycle Thieves is like one of their favorite movies of all time, and that's the movie that got them into filmmaking. And you could very much see those influences in their other films. But yeah, I saw Good Time based off Salvatore's recommendation.
I was just telling everybody, and then Tim was like, "I was like, you're into film? Watch fucking Good Time. It's on Amazon Prime. Go, you know." Now.
Yeah, no, everybody in film school right now is like jerking off the Safdie Brothers.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
which like they deserve it. They deserve all the jerking off.
They do. They deserve all that cum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because Brandon, it was like a day or two before we saw it. Like Julio and I don't know whose idea it was, but you and Julio showed me the trailer. And it's like we're gonna go see this at Film Bar like tomorrow night. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And my perception of it based on the trailer and then what actually was in the film, like I didn't know what to expect. Like honestly, I thought it was gonna be something completely different going in, and then we watched it. And I was like, that was fucking amazing.
I just love the energy. I love the characters, and one of the things they really focus on is real characters. They really focus on whether they don't always necessarily cast actors. They're willing to cast nobodies if they're able to portray that person better than an actor.
Which is very much to build on what Tim was saying, an Italian neo-realist conceit, because just right after World War II, the Italians, like, oh man, what's his name? I forgot it.
What are you talking about?
I forgot his name. Rossellini. I was like,
Okay.
I literally thought it was for a second. I was trying to remember his name. I was like, it's Isabella Rossellini's father. Ah, Rossellini. Yeah, Rossellini. Like they were literally like in his trilogy, Rome Open City, Paisan, and Germany Year Zero, or is it Year Zero or just Germany? Either way, they were using a bunch of amateur actors from the area because it was about the war, and it was like immediately, it was during and then immediately after the World War II, and they were using these amateur actors to the same effect, where they were able to kind of, he was able to direct them in such a way that he was able to draw these amazingly real performances out of them. Like I remember watching Paisan just recently. And watching it, I was like, some of these people are amazing actors. Like, where did they do anything else after this? And like, that was like their only movie because they were like actual American GIs or something who had been stationed in, you know, Italy. And he was just able to tease this performance out of them, much in the same way that the Safdie brothers do. You know what I mean? Like, they're able to extract the realism from an amateur who was actually in that world. Like in Good Time, the bail bonds guy and his secretary, like that whole office. Real bail bonds office with real, you know, and you know, like a lot of the cops were real cops, and like that's a real skill because getting to someone comfortable enough to be themselves on camera is very tough because it immediately creates an unnatural situation when you have the camera there. So
Another good evidence is Slackers, actually.
oh
Slacker, yeah, for sure.
Anything else we want to cover? Tim, you have anything else you want to say before we get into Uncut Gems?
No, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's hold on.
Pause.
I'm not used to being the timer person.
Cut. I gave us at least 30 minutes. I think we kind of went through that faster than I thought, so it should be good.
How does this work? So yeah, we did good.
Yeah.
All right, so jumping in though, Uncut Gems.
So yeah, fresh. So how deep we want to go into spoilers here, just to talk
Well,
about
we'll
just
go
for the audience's sake.
I think we're gonna go in, talk about it for maybe like 15 minutes or whatever, and then like just general concepts, and then we'll kind of time out and be like, hey, now we're getting into spoilers. If you want to stop, and
I might say a spoiler.
I might say a spoiler
So,
too.
just
Hey, fuck it, I might say a spoiler too.
warning, guys. Like
Spoiler
we want to
warning.
talk about
Yeah.
the movie. Like,
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about a movie and not.
well, I'm not
talk
saying we don't. I'm just saying we get a little bit into it, and then like be like, all right,
well,
we giving you some stuff.
All right.
We'll see.
So like we could be.
If we
we'll
spoil
try-
something,
okay,
sorry.
I'll try.
We'll have a point where we can explicitly say what happened at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I gotcha.
All right.
I didn't know this. Only a small spoiler, just because it deals with basketball games. I didn't know this, but
I didn't know that until I talked
Okay.
to Tim at
These-
work the next day. Yeah.
should we start off by saying
The plot?
yay or nay?
Yeah.
Or
Or the
so?
plot.
Yeah.
You
Well,
think
no,
so?
forget the
I
plot.
mean, people want to know, like, did we like it
did
or
we
not?
like it?
Yay.
Okay. All
I
right. All right.
feel
Let's
like-
go one at a time.
Yay.
I did like it. I think I like Good Time better though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just talking
Just as
about,
simple.
we're talking about
Yay.
Uncut
Yes.
Gems.
Yes.
Yay. I'll say yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'll go with
Okay.
You're the one that just gave yay and nay.
Yeah. I was gonna say I was middle of the road there.
Didn't you? I said yay or eh.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
It doesn't change my answer. I genuinely liked.
Yeah.
Uncut
It was
Gems.
good.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I like.
Movie.
I liked it. Would I watch it again? Yes.
Okay.
for sure.
There you go.
So-
Okay.
There
That's
you
good.
go.
All right.
I'm looking forward to diving into all this. I definitely I will say like
I had my
on the-
critiques.
on the 1 through 10 scale, I'm probably more like a 7.
I like the 10. I'm
Sounds right.
yeah. I'm like a 5.5.
That 0.5, that'll make or break it.
Yeah, that's true. Wow.
yeah,
Damn.
5.5. Like yeah, I'll watch it again.
There were parts of it that impressed
need-
me a lot.
I need to watch
I mean,
it
a
again.
part of okay. So the first time I watched it, I had trouble getting the expectation of Good Time out of my head because I love that movie
And
so much.
Well,
Oh my
that's
God.
what makes
Yeah.
it hard. Well,
Well, no, that's important.
it's
important.
because it's important. It's a this is a big follow up, especially because Good Time was such an introduction for most people to this to the Safdie brothers.
True,
And the thing
true,
is,
true.
they use a lot of the same techniques.
I noticed
So-
from the 5 minutes that I saw.
That's
Yeah.
what's hard is you watching Good Times, knowing that this is their next movie and having that little bit of hype behind it, and then immediately starting to watch the movie and it's the same exact style. It's really hard to get the Good Time taste out of your mouth and enjoy this freshly.
That-
Makes sense.
That was one of my worries with Uncut Gems. It's like, okay, we know what we can do with like a big budget, but because they're kind of the spotlight is on them now, they're backed by a major studio and all that. They have this big budget. Do they lose some of that stuff that they're known for? And I would say that I don't think they do. I think they, if anything, it's more heightened because of the big budget.
Yeah, I would agree. The cool thing about this movie is that Good Time got a lot of people's attention, genuinely, and they were being offered these bigger budgets, and like apparently, they're getting all these offers to do superhero movies after Good Time, which is like really weird to me because it's like,
Hey, look
it
at
was-
anybody a superhero movie these days.
No,
right?
I know it's like a Hollywood producer's like, man, we like your style, you're really good. We want you to do this, but don't use that style because that'll fuck things up for like our model. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
like I don't know. But instead of doing all that, they decided it's like, no, we're gonna fund Uncut Gems. We're gonna make that happen finally after 10 years of trying to get it done.
Which is
And,
awesome.
which is cool. Yeah. And which is what they've done for years too, because they apparently could have sort of at any point. I mean, there are a lot of different points, I guess, in their career from what it sounded like that they could have really gone. Like they decided to take their time to develop rather than.
They could have made it happen.
Yeah, exactly,
Rather than
yeah.
kind of like letting it simmer. And that's all. That's
For sure.
That's an important conversation on its own. Is
Yeah.
knowing when to the way and when to attack. But-
Exactly, and they, they could have at any point gone to a Hollywood studio and been like, we want to direct Stuber, you know what I mean, or something like that, and then played ball and made that happen and gotten way more money.
Yeah.
But instead, they were like, no, we're gonna do our independent films and we're gonna develop and we're gonna really get there. You know what I mean?
Show you our work in our own way.
for sure.
Adam says, how do we want to cover this? We want to like just
I don't
go
even know
at
where to
it?
start, honestly. I mean, we might as well just. Get
Yeah,
right into
so,
it.
I mean-
Start from the beginning.
yeah,
The beginning of the movie,
it takes place in an Ethiopian mine.
Yeah.
colon.
And it goes into a colonoscopy.
It does,
Yeah.
which is
Okay,
fascinating to
All
me.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to start talking shit about the movie.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
That's
yeah,
what
do
I was
it.
going to ask. What was your about?
Yeah,
it?
what's your problem?
Yeah.
It comes in the beginning. It goes into this Ethiopian mine thing, and you're thinking, oh, it's gonna be like the troublesome of Africa and all this, and it kind of goes into this like colon thing, And I thought it was kind of funny that it did that, but like it never really like it threw me off. I was like, oh, it's gonna be something about Africa, and these slaves out here are just like, you know, getting paid shit to get these, you know, uncut gems, you know, and that's what I'm thinking in my head. And I start building up a plot, and it just disappears. It's just an intro.
You know, I kind
It's
of
a jumping off point.
I feel like the thing I rewatching it, I actually ended up appreciating that opening scene a little bit more because then you're going in with the Uncut Gems mindset. I kind of see what you're saying because you're like following along and you're like, are these random Joes a little bit more important in the story? But rewatching, I appreciate it more because they're doing the same exact shit that like all these other people do, focus on money, and there's these two-bit criminals out here in Ethiopia like trying to make a dime. I appreciate that.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
I'm mixed. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm mixed feeling about the whole like I like the transition from like the opal into the clouds and into the scene and all that. I like that. I'm mixed feeling of what it means to the movie.
Yeah. Okay. So interesting thing you mentioned that. Yeah, everybody's kind of on the same page. And there's like this sort of universal theme because when I was listening to the Safdie Brothers talk about it at Q&A, I can't remember where it was, but there was a panel for the movie. And they were saying they were definitely trying to use one of the inspirations for this film was 2001: A Space Odyssey, and they were they were sort of imagining capitalism and like sort of the hustle to get the money as like the sort of monolith for this film, and that's like very appropriate.
And you know how I feel about
You know what I mean?
monoliths.
And the thing that he got from that movie too, I think it was Benny Safdie was saying this, was the idea that watching it, like you sort of everyone. Watching 2001, the big revelation they had with it was everyone sort of contains the universe within inside of them, and that's definitely like a theme in the movie. Like sort of everyone just by virtue of existing, you know what I mean, kind of contains the entire universe.
Is that what they were saying?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. That's what they said. However, I was really thrown off because Kevin Garnett has this experience looking into the opal, and then Adam Sandler doesn't have that experience when he's looking into it. And I was like, well, yeah, it's because he's like too selfish and too self-motivated and stuff like that. And they were like, it's because he is the gem itself, you know what I mean? He doesn't see the journey, he's living the journey. And I was like, the fuck does that mean? Like I thought like I knew exactly what it meant, and then I was like completely
for me, in my interpretation, I was seeing like you notice, I think the capitalism thing is like totally there. That's why I definitely saw it.
Yeah.
Because you see like this bow down, like you see all the fact that we see this Jewish man, he's like doing these things where he's actually doing he's practicing doing Passover. It's like a little bit more participant than just oh yes, I'm Jewish. But here he is selling like a sort of fake idol to KG over here. And I thought that was good alone. And then you see that a lot. Like you see everybody with these diamond crosses and everything like diamond. Everything's just amplified in diamonds and money and like this gem. And really, for me, like the intro is like, really though, the gem means jack shit, and that's what the colon thing kind of spoke out to me.
Yeah, I got you. Because the value itself is already inside you.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I feel like the gem is definitely more of like a MacGuffin kind of thing, where it's just something that just moves the plot along, but it's not specifically focused on the gem itself.
Looking at the gem and they're seeing their own value as people, and that's the value that's being generated by the money, but they can't see that, and so they're causing all these problems for themselves.
My interpretation of both the opening and the ending, when they go into the gem, in the opening when they go into the gem and you see like this vast universe, and then when they go and zoom in on the Howard, and it does like the same thing. It's just like his universe kind of revolves around this gem and this money.
That was a great way of staying spoiler clean.
Nice
for real.
Nice
I was gonna say.
Thank you.
I was about to say though.
I was kind of interested. I was like playing devil's advocate. I'm like, what's he gonna say?
Yeah,
it's the same thing. And I just thought about it like Kevin Durant. Same when he's like when he's just like admiring the gem, and that's what he just like loses himself, and then he breaks the glass.
Shout outs to Kevin Garnett.
Right?
He did a great job.
We were talking about that after we watched it. Yeah, he was amazing in this
twice.
movie. Yeah, me and Brandon,
Exactly.
we ended up watching it earlier today.
Kevin
again,
Garnett,
just
if you're hearing this, come on the show, please.
Yeah. And that was actual playoff season of 2012, because the movie takes place in 2012 to like sort of match up with that.
Yeah. So that's like, it's very impressive because I'm a big basketball fan. I know how this game ends, but yet I'm just still like have anxiety. Like, oh my god.
Well, that was what's so funny because I was talking to somebody else, like at a bar recently, and they're all like, "Yeah, no, I saw the movie. And I think I'm really big into basketball, so I kind of already knew the ending, but still, like I felt very like the whole time.
And like that, I guess that's credit to the Safdie Brothers for creating such like.
I thought they were made up
film.
games. I don't realize they were.
Wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
I did too. No, I did.
Wow.
And then I went to work and I was talking to Tim and I was like, yeah, it's interesting that they said it in 2012. That's like really odd. And he was like, yeah, they couldn't have used like any other season for that. And I was like, what?
Like, was the weekend really performing randomly at a club down there when
Maybe.
demanding for blacklight?
That's the thing that got me. I was like,
much
what?
is real?
Because they were like, upcoming artist called The Weeknd. I was like, what? I was like, oh yeah, this takes place in 2012.
Yeah.
This is when like the trilogy first came out.
He doesn't
or
have that
something.
hair
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
And it just released so
Yeah.
many years later.
Exactly.
That's crazy how movie production.
I love
works.
the depiction of The Weeknd too. where
Oh,
he's
me
just
too,
like,
yeah.
Hey, turn on the neon lights.
Yeah, the black.
The blacklight. Yeah.
I'm
the black
playing.
light, yeah.
I'm not coming up and say turn on the neon light.
No, it was really a cool movie. My experience. So I finally I pinpoint what I wanted to say about Adam Sandler's performance. So definitely a great performance from Adam Sandler. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like the all-time best performance ever in a movie though.
For him?
Like in general, like for him, I think it was really good.
I'm saying for him.
Yeah, for Adam Sandler, like that's like a comparison I feel like we're stuck at. It's like for Adam Sandler's at bar, it was like
I think
really
that's
good.
why he's getting such such like praise for it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
probably.
like he stepped out of his comfort zone. He
Yeah.
killed it. So
But it's like for a normals actor's bar, I wouldn't necessarily say it hit it.
I guess he was given a fun.
Like, well, I hit it, but like
Yeah.
it wasn't like over the bar.
This is
should I say.
apparently he's friends
Yeah.
with Daniel Day-Lewis, and Daniel Day-Lewis called him and gave him all sorts of compliments, and he said he was gripping his seat the entire movie, the seat in front of him. Yeah. That's
That
Daniel
was actually
Day-Lewis.
one of my pros is Adam Sandler's performance.
It was really good
Yeah.
by any means. I just
Are you talking shit, bro?
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that
Okay,
was
okay.
necessarily. I wouldn't call it Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
I feel like
Imagine he wins an Oscar.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
yeah, I feel like he would win an Oscar, but this year was such a great year for
Yeah.
movies and performances. Like it's so stacked that there's no way he gets one. I'd say if anything, he would get a nomination, but I don't think he's gonna get like the actual Oscar.
Yeah.
I feel like I get a lot more because I was looking. Some of the thing is, at some points, I could feel like some of these nobody actors, the people who weren't actors who just kind of were signed on. I feel like sometimes I was seeing really incredible performance, maybe equally, if not sometimes better performance out of them comparison to Adam Sandler. And I guess that was where I was kind of having a that was where I was kind of like drawing my line because I was like,
The
damn,
one guy, the Heavy, was really good.
the Heavy was good,
And I guess that was his first role too. Like they wanted someone, from according to the Safdie Brothers, they wanted someone with history, not so just like a regular Heavy, but someone who looked like he had like time behind him. And that guy totally felt like there was a whole character there.
I totally
For
thought
sure.
that was Dolph Lundgren at first.
Oh, really?
Wait,
Yeah.
the guy from Green Goblin?
No.
the dude from He-Man.
Yeah, He-Man
Yeah.
and the Expendables.
Are you guys talking about
and
the
Rocky 4?
No, wait. Are you guys talking about the hitman?
He's like the
dude.
he's
The
like
one
the
with
Russian
the
guy.
birthmark or
yeah.
whatever. It wasn't that obvious for birthmark. I noticed it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
The hitman that was
The hitman.
backing up the brother-in-law.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one that was more aggressive.
The one that was like
Oh, okay,
tall,
see,
not
I
the
thought
fat,
he was
not
the green,
fatter one.
No, the
Yeah.
skinny one.
Yeah, the skinny
I
one.
thought he was the Green Goblin guy from Spider-Man.
Yeah, he did a surprisingly good job. Not him, but that's Willem Dafoe.
Okay, I thought it was that guy.
Probably
I don't know
also
why.
will get nominated.
But
this
really
year.
good performance. Like every time he was on screen,
Yeah.
I was definitely intimidated by him. I was like, oh shit, what's this fucking thing? Like, that was really good. And even like for me, like a lot of times these little subtleties in the eyes is a big seller point. And maybe it's because Adam Sandler was wearing glasses the whole time. Maybe I lost some of that.
That
eye
could
stuff.
be, honestly. Yeah.
But I don't know. I was feeling like
I was staring at his teeth.
Yeah.
I will say,
And he played him off really well.
He
Yeah,
did.
false teeth.
Yeah,
False teeth for this role.
And then
Even
obviously
No.
his
even
look was
Mitigated.
no, they're
perfect.
real, dude.
They really made a character out of him. Like the outfit, like I know somebody like that. He's
Yeah,
just
no, yeah, for
perfect.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he played it. Like I couldn't help to stare at his teeth.
Yeah.
But but naturally, I stare at people's mouths when they talk.
I feel like
I
his,
hardly look at their mouth.
honestly,
at
his
their-
his whole vocal performance, I feel like, kind of came from the teeth. Honestly,
yeah,
the way he was
that's
talking,
tight,
sort of
like a little
Yeah.
smirk.
yeah, like just kind of the way he was.
I like when
speaking.
he would do a smile, like this
Yeah.
weird little like I don't know.
Holy shit,
Yeah.
I'm gonna come. Yeah.
Like, it's
Oh,
good-
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. One of my favorites. So my buddy of mine, it was first impression.
That freaked me out.
When we were leaving the movies, the first time we watched it, the first impression, I turned to him. I was like, "Hey, what do you think?" And he was like, "Oh, it was another Adam Sandler movie." And I was like, "Huh." I guess in a way, like it really was like this sort of more risque, like adult, like Adam Sandler film. Like
Some people walked out of my theater. They're mostly like older people, and they were like walked out of the theater because they were not expecting.
Yeah,
like,
we saw that same thing in our
Yeah.
showing. There was a bunch of old people. Remember? Just
They're
sort
like,
of
oh my.
Yeah, like they
Yeah,
like there's a
exactly.
guy in the wheelchair that was like the motorized
Oh, yeah.
scooter, and then
They
like,
they mostly walked out when he's sexting his mistress.
That was
actually,
shortly
everyone
after that.
everyone got through that. It was when he was screaming at her outside
Oh,
the
when he was
nightclub.
hiding behind
Yeah, the door.
yeah,
Okay,
behind the
okay,
door,
okay.
sexting her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn, she had a big ass.
she did. I was like, God damn.
That was all.
That was her first performance too, I guess. They
Yeah.
they
Oh,
known her
really?
for like 7 years. Yeah, the
Wow.
Safdie Brothers, and wrote the character around her. I was like, what?
She
That was
did a
her
great job.
Around
Yeah,
her.
she's pretty good. I thought, to be honest with you, I thought she was on
Behind
the
her.
little, like, on the whole cast. I thought she was like probably one of the weaker ones, but
They were definitely like her and Adam Sandler were definitely like in that line of like, is this going to be a caricature or is it like it feels like real people?
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
I feel like they rode that line pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too.
I would
Yeah,
agree.
no, they could have easily. She could have easily been a character.
I guess that's my
she
thing
was
is-
she was close to it. But
I
she
feel
was
like-
very real.
I feel like if I was watching a TV series, I feel like her character would fall apart. I think that's what my,
For
my
sure.
thoughts was.
Mhm.
I was like watching her, I was like, I would stop believing you if this is like episode 3 of this.
Right.
What are your mind things?
What was I gonna say? One of the things I didn't. What was I gonna say? No.
They're using old iPhones.
Well, it's 2012.
They were
Yeah.
using old iPhones and the old
2012.
like
But, like,
software,
no,
like
yeah,
iOS.
But
yeah.
like
sound when they sent the
2012
texts,
wasn't that
yeah.
old, is it?
Yeah, that was a pretty long time ago.
No, that was right before
No.
the OS changed.
No, but those iPhones weren't of that era. They were like a couple of years older.
Oh, like they're newer or older?
I think they're older. They're older for the year, I think.
I thought
Some-
they were about the
some
same.
of- No, just-
some of the
I might
cars,
be wrong, I may be
some
wrong.
of the cars in the scenes when they're walking in the street, they were like older models as well. So
Yeah.
I thought it was
Oh,
pretty
interesting fact too
I
about the
could
way
be
that they
back.
shoot is they insist not to close down the streets because they get like
Oh.
real reactions from people.
Yeah.
Like in Good Time when they're running through that mall, those are real people being like, "What the fuck is happening?" Yeah, and then you can see a scene too after Adam Sandler gets punched in the face by the fountain. I'm pretty sure there's a couple who's like watching him with a genuine concern when he gets thrown into the fountain. And,
No, they were
yeah.
talking about that on a podcast with Paul Thomas Anderson, and they were so they don't like cutting down, they don't like closing down streets because they live in New York and they hate it when movie sets close down
As you can
streets.
tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what they would do is they would get PAs or cast actors to if somebody was gonna just walk in their shot or do it. They would get that PA or actor to like stop them and be like, "Hey, bro, do you know where 6th Street is?" or something like that to stop them from going to set and distract them like while
That's
they get
cool.
their shot.
nice.
Wow, that's pretty creative.
Yeah,
That's
kinda
kinda
I
cool.
like that a lot.
Going a little raw right there.
Yeah, it is. And then it was like so one of my bigger problems was
All right,
Yeah, let's get to like critiques.
Yeah.
Let's get to serious critiques.
yeah. Kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, I was just had especially the first time watching it. I feel like the second time wasn't as bad. I think overall I like Good Time better.
Okay.
I will say that from the get go.
Who here agrees with that? I think I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't stand yet.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying.
yeah. But I think overall I like that movie better. Just the characters, everything about it. Just I feel like it all flows right into one. My issue here is because they're using. And maybe, well, I don't know. You'll get to talk more. I was kind of interested in seeing your opinion because you didn't see Good Time and didn't have that impression ready. But my problem was having that impression ready, and then the fact that they're using such similar techniques throughout this entire film.
Filming wise,
Yeah.
direction,
Like
soundtrack, everything.
Well, all of it, everything. They literally use a
okay.
very similar soundtrack. They use very similar cinematography, maybe a little bit more space than Good Time, and then like just the same kind of energy and fast paced. And I guess my issue was, I feel like there's so many, what do you call them, startups? Is that what you call them? I'm forgetting it right now. Like those false starts. There we go.
Oh, I see.
There's so
Yeah.
many false starts because I had that anxious energy the whole time. Every time there was a new scene, I was like, "Oh, what the fuck's gonna go wrong? What's gonna go wrong? What's gonna go wrong?" Like
I did
when
have
he's- when
less
he's-
of that in the second viewing. I will say.
I had less of that during the second viewing.
I've seen it, but I had less of the Good Time expectation. I think was a part of it.
But like even like when he's sexting her, I was like, "Man, is she gonna be walking into somebody else? Oh man, is he gonna surprise her?" And then I was always expecting something terrible to go wrong. And then I was like, "Oh no!" And I kept on having like it was just so because there's so much tension built throughout the whole thing though. I couldn't help but feel that way throughout almost every scene. So that was something that kind of, after a while, I was almost exhausted from. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm tired.
Is it?
that's a good way to put it. I was definitely exhausted by the end of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I don't think it needed as much tension as Good Time does. Good
Like,
Time does because it's in the moment. It literally takes place all in one like space of time. This one actually covers like a week.
This room didn't have much room to breathe, or this movie. Sorry, this movie.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like
It
there were no scenes that really let it breathe.
And it could have.
And I feel like given how long it, like the time span and like the events that take place, I feel like it kind of needed that, honestly.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest problem with it.
I would go like with the fact that make this film not for everyone. Is that if you want to be in like that stress mode for an entire film, you might like it. But
And
if you don't, if you want to take some breathers and you don't enjoy that, then it's not going to be for you.
Very much.
I feel like that
Howard's-
definitely comes down to taste.
Yeah.
Like, what your taste in films.
I get that was very much Howard's state of mind throughout the entire
Yeah,
movie.
which makes sense.
Because he had that addict state of mind. I mean, even towards the end of the movie, he said, "I'm sorry, I can't." Like, he was, I mean, slight spoilers. Like, he had so many chances to like turn around, but it was his addiction to trying to make more and more money
The
and to
big
increase his
score.
returns, like a gambling addiction, basically.
And one of the ways that's something I liked about it is the fact that he actually was winning.
Yeah.
He kept on winning.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole thing until basically he was getting too. Every time he was only cuffed by being too greedy, but like he was actually doing really good on his shittiness, basically.
Yeah.
It's like that South Park episode. Have you ever seen when like all the parents like go to the casino and gamble, and it's like the entire like city's budget, and, and they're like they win, they play roulette and they bet on black and they win, and they're like, oh, we got our budget back and everything, and then all the parents are like, fuck it, red, we're gonna put it on red. And then they're like, "What?" And
that was basically. And the thing, I guess, the important thing to remember is that the movie is like through the eyes of an addict who's thinking like that, and so he has no room to breathe. So it's like, should the audience have a room to breathe through the style? So it's kind of hard to say.
Well, and I like that specifically in the Diamond Store, it gets the most anxious and
I
tight.
love those scenes. Yeah, those.
The Diamond
those
Store is
worked
the
for me.
tightest, and
Yeah.
everything's closed, and everything's like there's 5 people talking at once continuously, always.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that was the that I liked. Is like when he goes in the beginning, and then when Kevin Garnett comes in later to give him back the stone, and just like the chaos of it, and trying to open the door. Yeah.
The only
That I
time-
thought was perfect.
I never had so much anxiety during a film.
Yeah.
Right.
So good, big props to the Safdie Brothers.
And that's a good thing to achieve. The fact that they kept that mood and emotion so heavily.
One thing, I found 2 things distracting. Sometimes I felt like some scenes were like slightly blurry, and it brought me out from. I was like, oh wait, it's kind of blurry. I can't really focus. And then I started noticing the grain. I wasn't used to the 35 millimeter. I've been used to these 4K digital cameras, and so I was like, is that grain? Is that like from an old digital camera or is that from a film? I was kind of debated. An old digital you had the grain from a shitty digital camera, so I couldn't tell. And then I was like, the color looked too good to be digital. Also, the soundtrack. I think the 80s synth could have been it was a little excessive and distracting. Sometimes.
Breaking news! I just received a text. Apparently, Joaquin Phoenix won for Joker. So anyway,
that happened to us live.
Yeah, live. This isn't going to be live. So
You're hearing it first here. Yeah.
So I kind of sort of just interrupted the podcast for no reason. Sorry. Go on.
As usual.
Oh,
Just joking. But not really.
But you were talking about the soundtrack.
The soundtrack. I like the 80s film. See, that's one of the pros I had, is that I like the approach and what do you call it? What's his name? Daniel Lapatin. Daniel Lapatin. He's an artist known as 10 Tricks Point Never.
He did.
He's on
Good Time as well.
Yeah, you can find him on SoundCloud. He has like ambient style of music. But he's the same guy who did Good Time. But it's a random fact. He's signed to the same record label Warp as Brian Eno. And Grizzly Bear, if you guys know that.
I want to mention last part. There are 2 weeks by Grizzly Bear is my favorite song of all time.
So, same record label. But I liked his approach of using these synths and some modern stuff and kind of slightly reinventing them, but still kind of like keeping them like you can tell they're like 80s style sets.
Mm.
But I think they were a little bit too intense sometimes. That I was just like I'm trying, like, let me enjoy this moment, and it's just like too much building.
Yeah.
But there are times that I like the touches of it.
Mm.
I liked a lot of it that happened. So that's what tore me, like, that's why I'm like 50% about this whole movie. Where from a big part of me of a good movie is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So, like, I kept getting distracted by the soundtrack.
Yeah. I feel like in his in the more Howard's by him, like more to himself moments where the synths are there, I feel like those worked incredibly well. But the scenes where it's more chaotic, it's just a little too much. I feel like that was one of the things I'm talking about, where I feel like that technique, it worked magically with Good Time. I won't necessarily say it worked 100% here either. I would have minded something either a little bit more subtle or just different. I don't know. Good Time, I loved it. I wouldn't say I loved it here. That's like all.
Yeah, I think like a lot. It goes into like my critique of Uncut Gems is that there was an excess of things, excess of like the soundtrack, excess of like those close shots and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it earlier. We didn't really get time to like breathe with these characters and really get to know them. Unlike Good Time, where you have like these small moments with like Connie, like when Connie's in that Jamaican lady's house or whatever.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
the opening scene is really effective.
And you don't really get that with Uncut Gems. It's like from the opening shot, it's like nonstop adrenaline rush.
Because you see great characters throughout the entire thing, and that's I did notice that. I was thinking about that time. Even like the guy who gets the bets from, like I was like, man, even he's giving a good performance, and he feels like a real character. And I almost would like to see a little bit more from him too.
Gary.
Yeah.
I disagree, Gary.
Like the conflict of are we in the spoiler territory now? Are we? Have
Might
we
as
hit
well.
that point?
I mean, might as well just
Might
do
as
the
well.
spoilers.
All right, spoilers.
Spoilers.
Big spoilers.
I didn't have to clap that in, but I did.
When it's revealed that Howard owes money to his brother-in-law.
Yeah,
it's like I wish they
fucked up.
I wish they would have dove deeper into that, because that's
they like reveal that, but it's not like it's like impactful, but not as much as it could have been. It was
Yeah.
kinda,
Well,
it's very matter of fact.
I feel like
I feel
like they should have said how much he owed.
Didn't they? Wasn't
I thought it
100,000?
was like 100,000.
Yeah.
In the beginning, they say
Well, 'cause
take
then
the Rolex out.
No.
Fired-
That's how much he told Kevin Garnett like he spent on the diamond.
No.
He owed about 24,000.
He was leaving a message on his brother's voicemail at the beginning, and he said that Rolex that they took from me was worth like 20,000. I want that taken out of the 100,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And see, if it's 100,000, then that's not bad, because that
Not
means
bad.
like,
He made that
not
several times throughout the movie.
well, not
he
even
could've-
that, but like they could. So at the beginning portion, they take the Rolex and take all that cash. I feel like honestly, Arno could have laid off a little bit.
Yeah.
He really, yeah.
Well, clearly,
he really could have. Like,
clearly, he
I
had like
didn't
a
get the
Fredo.
concept.
He had like a Fredo type complex where it's just the very idea of being like the entire family looks at him as like a weakling and just like an idiot. And I mean that definitely. I mean, and again, that probably could have been developed a little bit more. But
That's why I wanted to see more of his character, because you can tell, like, even though Howard's like an idiot and everything, you could tell he kind of genuinely cares about Howard.
Yeah.
Like the way he looks at him, like he's hurt with him, but like there's like a genuine like.
It's like a disappointment with
Yeah,
him.
like,
It's
I
just
don't want to
like-
do this, but I have to.
Yeah.
And
I think
he doesn't though.
I think when he hired those, because the thing is, he hired those two goons
the goons.
specifically.
And he's spending money on them now.
He hired them specifically for Howard, and I think like he didn't know what he was in store for.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he
Right? No,
hired
that
them.
was cool because like I liked watching that. Just like from the first shot that you see his face when he drives by in the car, like you can tell that he's not in control of the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when he's in the car with all of them and there's all the yelling, it's like you almost don't even hear him.
Because you're expecting a big boss, like,
Yeah.
oh man, who's this guy sending thugs? And then like it's more like
He's literally
Almost
talking about
softer.
how he talks about how hurt he is with him.
Yeah.
You know?
But there was like
Yeah.
a bunch of scenes where it's just like it could have been like really more like intimate, or even like when they kidnap Howard for after the play or whatever, and he's like I know you got the money because you resurfaced your pool or whatever, and he's like, I didn't resurface like anything. Who told you? It's like he's your brother-in-law. Of course
Yeah,
he's gonna
right,
know. Like, I wish we'd have gotten more like kind of that dynamic.
And
Yeah.
I think Arno needed the money. That's the only thing I think personally justifies. I mean, besides just moving the plot forward, I think that's the only thing that really justifies his sudden intensity and being relentless. because again, he immediately at the beginning, first thing, like they break it, they come in, take the watch off of him, take his cash. That's like a solid payment. I would like lay off for like, oh.
Well, there's almost like a tenderness too from Adam Sandler's character to Arno. He's
Yeah.
almost like
He's
he's
not
like
being a
it's
dick.
like he like when his father-in-law is like, I feel like I have an intruder in my own house. It's like he's here, he's trying. You know, he's like defending him, and you know what I mean. It's weird. It's like he recognizes on some level that it's all his fault, basically. You know what I mean? That he has a problem. Because at the end of the movie, Adam Sandler like has the money to pay him back, and these heavies are in his office, and they literally hang him out the window and stuff, and he can't. The girl that he's sending, his mistress, he's sending her to make this bet on the playoff game with the Celtics, and he like they have him and he's at the phone, he's gonna call and they just hang him out the window, and he's like, I'm sorry, I can't do it, like I need to see this bet through kind of thing, and it's like,
I think that ties into like, cause there was a line that he said to KG like, you do like, it was something along the lines like, you play basketball, that's how you win. This is my thing. Like this is how I win.
This is how I win.
So I think that's
Yeah.
where he gets his like satisfaction in his life, because you know
That's true.
he's going through a divorce. You know, his wife doesn't want to be with him, and like his store is like pretty like compared to the other stores in the Diamond District, it's not like well off or anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's where his motivation comes in.
That's
Is
true.
that-
Returning to that thing about capitalism, I mean, that when your goal is to make money, when your passion is making money, it's impossible to stop.
to satisfy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because there's never a way to finish. There's no capstone to money. There's no award for making the most money. Like, all you can do is continue to make more money. You can wake up the next day and think, all right, what's my next score? What's my next sell? How am I going to get more money?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what the capitalist mindset is. Not that capitalism is bad, but taking it to its most extreme state, that's very much why a lot of these corporations are the way they are, and they're always changing laws and making it so they can just continuously make more money.
And it's interesting too. I mean, like, again, getting back to like those character moments, like, you know, we talk about the end of the movie when he's placing that bet, the heavy, like there's just a lot. There's a lot of character and little interactions. Like, you can see that he's has that like almost like prison mentality where like these like he's willing to be reasonable with you to a point, but then if you just do just the wrong thing, like he'll fucking slap you in the face. He's like, I said I didn't want the fucking water. Why'd you bring me the? You know what I mean? And then like at the end, when Adam Sandler locks him in the thing,
Locking
like he
him up,
decides he's gonna fucking kill him.
Yeah, I think like
The look in his eyes, like he's gonna fucking. I knew like he's gonna kill Adam Sandler as
no
soon as he
matter
gets out
what
of
He knew that?
happened,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Like they
He
won.
should have unlocked
Yeah.
the other door and just be like, all right, I'll see you later.
Yeah, no, and it became personal, and he fucking shoots. He kills Adam Sandler, and then proceeds to completely devolve and just start robbing the fucking jewelry store. He's like, fuck this. Like, I'm just, and like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got this job, this semi-legitimate, not really legitimate, but like, you know what I mean? But then as soon as things like go wrong and he insults him, he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna take this all the way. He kills Adam Sandler, he kills the brother-in-law, and starts robbing the jewelry store with the other guy. Like, that's like a really interesting character, because that's a guy who's been to prison before that's like, I'm just gonna do this again, fuck it. You know what I mean?
It's like, well, you're hiring a murderer to do a babysitter's job.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because it's like, after the second viewing, I was almost like, I kind of want to see what happened to these two guys after this movie.
I want to know what
like,
happens with Julia.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, right. I wouldn't mind.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah.
brings up a question, because you guys have seen this twice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So do they know the little like Jimmy in the lock to get out?
Probably not.
No.
So are they
don't.
stuck there?
They're stuck there, and his wife was calling the cops,
Yeah.
and so. Yeah.
So it's just like they robbed this place because it's shown multiple times in the movie that buzzer does not work. That
Yeah.
door
Yeah.
lifting,
Yeah.
you got to put the knife in.
Yeah, there's
but the
that
thing
file.
is, but the file, like it
No, that
gets
matters.
out.
Well, he puts
yeah.
it. No,
He's
Adam Sandler puts it back in.
Oh, all right.
That's how they let him in. So he puts it back in, and he lets him back.
Well,
in.
my thought is they don't get very far. Like, my thought is, if anything, they have like a day or two of Robert Pattinson in, you know, before they get caught, basically. But like, yeah, no, I was thinking about that at the end of the movie. I was like, man, like, because I think they're implying that they got caught shortly thereafter, because the wife is like, he was naked in the trunk of a car. I'm fucking calling the cops because this is not right. And so I'm assuming the cops are on their way to the diamond store anyway. But yeah, no, after the movie was over, I was like, honestly thinking, it's like, what happens to these two guys? Like, I wouldn't even mind
Yeah.
seeing
And
like
what
a
happens
spin-off.
to Julia
Yeah.
Fox?
Oh yeah, right.
That's who I'm
Yeah.
definitely.
Those are
Yeah.
the two questions I was asking, and I honestly didn't like. I think those two men ending the movie that way, it was just like kind of rushed, and it had me like I had to make connections in the end of the movie, and I was
Yeah.
like, the movie did not help me. I had to make these makeup connections.
Well, for me, it was
possibilities.
For me, Adam Sandler's character was just playing this out as long as he possibly could. But what happened to him there, running into the wrong people and making the wrong mistake like that, people who wouldn't put up with him, was like the end of his journey.
Yeah, and we're attached to Howard's journey. That's
it definitely was like a tragedy.
Yeah,
because
I felt bad for him when they started smashing up. Like, I not only killed him, but then started smashing his cases and stuff. I was like, oh, Howard. Like, everything was his fault, like completely his fault. But I still like felt this like, man.
Because the whole feeling of him winning and getting these bets and doing it, it almost felt like they're promoting gambling in a way, like making it look bigger than it actually. You know what I mean? Like,
I get you.
Make it appealing.
Yeah,
they're making it almost seem like, are they appealing to like gambling? And that's the kind of concept that I got. And then it's like, you know, normally like gamblers and shit, like you don't know, you don't win. And it was like, he's gonna lose it. And he won it. I was like, wow, this is the movie that a gambler wins it. And then I didn't expect because I was surprised. I was legit surprised that he won it. I was like, they're not gonna win it. They're not gonna win it. They won it, and then he's freaking out. I'm like, wow, this is one of the movies that he wins it. That a guy who does criminal activity wins. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
It's not.
I knew
what I mean?
Something bad was gonna happen because I was like, this is having a way too happy ending.
Yeah.
You know
when the guy was,
I had a feeling like, what's gonna
knew.
happen next?
Yeah.
Just the way the guy was watching, the guy pulled his gun, and then just the way he was watching him, I was like, he is not gonna let.
That's what I was talking about when he was acting with your eyes. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
All three.
That moment.
Well, not
you
three.
See,
the
you
other, the little chunkier thug was not really.
You see the decision in his eyes that he's gonna kill him as soon as he and then he gets out there, and sure enough, he shoots him. I was like, I fucking knew it. You know what I mean? Like, I just knew it.
Fucking Dolph Lundgren.
You knew it, bro?
Dolph Lundgren, yeah, I knew it.
I didn't know.
I knew it, bro.
I was honestly really pissed.
Yeah.
It ended that way.
No.
If he dies, he dies. You know.
If he dies, he dies.
Like, like, I liked. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, nobody actually wins that.
And I guess that was
And the thing is, he wouldn't truly. I did like our buddy Alex
and the
said.
thing is too is if it didn't happen then, it would have just happened later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if he had
death,
even if they hadn't shot him, and Arno was willing to, even if Adam Sandler somehow got the money and then was willing to pay him with it, he would have just done this to himself again, because throughout the entire movie, like with the Michael Jackson pendant,
was he
and the
still
whole
owe
thing,
money
he's
for
just,
that?
the Rolexes, like he's just doing that all the time. Like eventually he's gonna run into somebody who's not gonna put up with it. You know,
it's true.
Yeah, he's like, but I liked what our buddy Alex said about it. He was like, it was like for Adam Sandler in a way, it was a happy ending because he won, and then he dies immediately. Like he gets like one of the biggest wins of his life, and that's what he's addicted to.
That's a good point.
And then
actually.
dies, so he dies happy.
Yeah.
That was an
and that's
interesting
so
little
like
look
the
at
core
it.
to his character too, because when he's sitting there with Kevin Garnett gives him the money that he needs to pay off his brother. Adam Sandler, like that scene where he starts working himself up, it was so real. It's like they don't know what we know. They think that you're not gonna win this. Like, let's fucking show them. You know what I mean? It's just like the idea of like, I gotta win.
He's just creating this narrative in his head. Yeah. The Safdie Brothers were talking about how they got that like general performance from Adam Sandler for the last scene, and it was like pretty simple for them. They told Adam like, look, you know what's gonna happen. Howard thinks he just won the fucking lottery, and like, you know, that happens. So like, you know, play it that way. And I'm pretty sure there was better like vernacular that they used, but it was a summary of that. And I thought that was like really. It felt like, I mentioned it earlier, it felt like a tragedy where it's just like this guy's just doing like digging his own grave pretty much.
For sure.
It's addiction.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely.
Yeah.
It was honestly all three of their movies, not even just Heaven Knows What, which was obviously directly heroin addiction. Like all three of these movies are great movies about addiction. Their characters are all addicts, for sure. Robert Pattinson too. He was like, I just need to work. Like his character was so devoted to working the angles and just figuring out how he could get to his goal. And then after he gets that, like I remember thinking that too with Good Time. It's like, you know, assuming that this worked out, like where do they go from there? You know what I mean? Like obviously, like their idea, like their fantasy isn't sustainable, but like, what does he do when he gets his brother? Like he's not, you know. So
yeah, it's kind of like The Graduate, you know, the ending of The Graduate,
for
where
sure,
like where it's just like, well, shit, what do we do now?
No, yeah,
you know?
yeah, that look of the like malaise that comes out, and they're just like, oh, I love that.
I think we just fucked up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But I think overall, I enjoy the story. For me,
I liked it.
The story is
Yeah.
like probably what wins the whole thing for me. I love that story. I love the characters.
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems. I think it's just for me. I think when it comes down to it, the technical didn't fully support the film as it necessarily could have, and then it just needed a little bit more breathing.
And after
So-
this, like I really hope they do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because you were saying this earlier, like the style of the movie may have to some degree been dictated by studio pressure. Like they were like, "Good time, do some more good time.
Give me more good time.
do more of
Give
that.
us give us more of that shit." You know?
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to say.
possibly.
Well,
Do you think they'd fold?
And
I don't
maybe
know.
it
I
could
don't
even been
know.
just more. Pressure from other not other people, but their own pressure, self pressure.
Yeah. Because to some degree, it does have the feel of we just had a hit. Let's see if we can do that again. And it never feels as good.
Yeah,
you know?
let's keep doing
Yeah.
what works for us. So hopefully, with their next film, they try to like step a little bit out of their comfort
I'd love
zone.
to see that. Yeah, because they're
Do something a
creative
little
and they're
different.
great. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like, you know.
just bring it out. Yeah, to bring it out, do something a little bit different, still giving that same kind of characters, and just in a slightly different story.
Honestly, for the longest time, they were they got taken off of it for some fucking reason, but they were supposed to do 48 Hours, like a remake of 48 Hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, if there's any buddy cop movie from the 80s that's like a little bit dated now that you could remake in a modern way and make interesting, like they're the guys to do it. Like,
Yeah.
like they'll make that gritty, but it could still be funny. And it could still be really entertaining, but it'll have like the sensibility about it. It'll probably be better than the original even.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they were gonna do it with Carmichael.
Jared
Carmichael. Yeah,
I
and I
didn't
was
know
like,
that.
that's
That's
great
cool.
casting. Yeah, and then it just kind of fell apart. They're like, nah, we're gonna give that to somebody else. You know, probably to, I don't know, the Ghostbusters remake guy or somebody like that. I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Two more of my last comments here about this is that I'll start with the negative, then go end it with a
And
positive.
Like Biggie, like the Notorious B.I.G.
Yes.
Turn negative into a positive. Yeah.
I didn't really understand the weekend cameo. Like I didn't understand the point other than that. Oh, it's the weekend. We have him in our
I just
film.
think they needed somebody for that role. And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, it's just
Yeah.
a cool little, you know.
If they would have sat any longer on the weekend, I'd understand. Thankfully, they kept it brief.
They kept it brief, which
If they extended that,
I mean, they
totally
foreshadow it.
By the way-
and then you know what I mean.
Speaking of that, one more time, just Kevin Garnett, really convincing in this movie.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
was really good.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like I expected to go into this movie and watch him in particular and just be like, ugh, you know what I mean? Just kind of like a little
'cause,
put on,
like,
not
yeah.
that it would ruin the movie, but they were kind of able to tease the performance with their
No, because
direction. to something passable.
athletes acting
Yeah.
were terrible.
Yeah, like yeah,
Shaq.
exactly.
Yeah,
Shaq.
Like my
Nope.
thought was that the
Not
Safdie
at
brothers
all.
are good enough as directors to make it work, but like I was worried that during those scenes I was gonna have to kind of be like, all right.
Weekend's acting kind
Yeah.
of weak too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm kind of shitty.
Like his whole but like his expression when Howard goes to the window with the
Really
bag and
funny.
he's just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like throughout the whole
I
movie, I
feel
thought,
this.
yeah, Garnett was
You're
good.
so hard.
Yeah, I know. How are you even so hard right now? Oh my God. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
What was she selling? Was that even real? Was was she just making that up? Was she?
I think
was
she-
she
I
actually
think-
cheating?
Well, I think she was trying to be a photographer or something.
I thought she was trying to bring the weekend to Howard's shop. To
Oh,
shop,
maybe.
To
That,
shop
that
there.
could be. Yeah, that could be too.
That was I was curious
doing
about that.
coke.
Not that it necessarily mattered. I was curious about that, like that little split end. Was her intention actually to cheat? Was she actually trying to make a sell?
Probably a little bit of both. She doesn't know
Maybe.
what she wants. She's like sleeping until like 10 o'clock and her and her boyfriend's apart. I mean, she's kind of, and then when she shows up with like the smoothie at the end and she's got the jacket, I mean, she's obviously like a little bit of a ditz, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? She's just like,
yeah,
you know.
but I think like she genuinely like loved and cared for
No, well,
Howard.
that's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah, no, because like I feel like she did, but it was like as much as she could because she has like these personality failings, which is the interesting thing about everyone in the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone had that.
Yeah.
Arno had that. He was too weak to kind of control the situation, and he created the situation to begin with. Adam Sandler had the gambling addiction. The Heavy was like had this fucked up prison mentality basically, and was like easy to offend and would get violent and completely devolve at the end of the movie. Julia Fox's character was like living constantly off of other people and like
Yeah.
completely sort of just flailing in
It's
the wind.
really small,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
love. I was very
Garnett.
happy for Howard's nephew when he got Kevin Garnett's autograph.
Me too. Yeah,
I
no, me
don't
too.
know
Yeah,
why.
that guy. I honestly, actually, I really. Oh, Judd Hirsch. I really liked his character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because he just seemed like sort of like a just a. I don't know. He was just. I don't know. It was good to see him, I guess.
Yeah.
And then just like I don't know. It was just cool. So
I'm trying
But
to
hey,
think. Kevin's nephew.
no.
Or Howard's nephew.
Howard's nephew got the Kevin Garnett signature at the he got the autograph at the auction.
It was a small detail.
Yeah, and he was
It
just
was
like
like
really
a
happy
small
about
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like
Forgot about
those small details that are the things that I like.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
Ida Menzel was really good too.
Be honest
Oh,
with you,
fucking Elsa, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
killed it. Yeah.
She was good.
all the family scenes I actually really liked.
Yeah,
They're
like
believable.
my favorite scene is, I don't know what the ritual is called because I'm not Jewish.
It was
but-
Passover.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And actually, they
when
just
they did that,
Yeah.
it's like it was really cool to see that because it was like kind of like a character development thing for Howard. It's like he wants to be a family
Practice,
man.
and
Yeah.
he definitely genuinely wants to be a family man. It's not like he's all right, time to be like put the hat on. Like
and it's just all too late because he's just fucked himself over. And it's like the thing about it too that was interesting was I guess they needed a holiday that coincided with the playoffs, and it just happened to be Passover, and it happened to fit the themes of the movie, just like the death of
That's
the
awesome.
firstborn and all these plagues, you know. So
But yeah, I feel like I'm because going back to Kevin Garnett, I feel like this was like a being John Malkovich situation. I have no idea who would like what would happen if Kevin Garnett's like, nah, I don't want to do this, right? Because the film revolves so much around him, and like it takes it. Like those playoff games actually happen. I'm just like, I don't know, like
I mean, to
who
be
would
fair-
have gotten.
Not just that. This is the second comment I was gonna make. How Adam Sandler's character as Howard is very Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
He's Jewish and he's a super basketball fan.
yeah, they
the
wrote it for him.
The Safdie brothers are Jewish too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
And so that was like the interesting part. Like, you know, like have you ever seen Adam Sandler play? He can play.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
He can
play.
He
He
was
can play
talking about that.
basketball.
Holy
I've seen
shit!
him-
I've seen him play.
I've seen the animated version of him play in 8 Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
Okay, but YouTube it, dude.
I guess when the Safdies met with him, that was like where they met. That was one of the conditions, like, oh, you have to play basketball with me or whatever. Yeah, so yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. It's just like, you know, he's Jewish, he's into basketball, you know, and there was other things that I forgot that I connected, but
yeah. It takes place in New York, and you know, Howard is a Knicks fan, and Adam Sandler is from New York. He's a huge Knicks fan.
yeah.
And I remember listening on a podcast that they did with Paul Thomas Anderson. They were talking about like because they did a lot of improv in there, and they were like each take that they did, they were like just talk shit about like the Knicks owner or something like that because he's known as being like a very terrible owner. That's why the Knicks have been terrible for so long. And so each take that they did, he would just say something new about the shit, like say something new about the owner and like how much of a piece of shit he is or something. And I thought, and like, so it's really
That's funny.
tied into like Adam Sandler's like identity for sure.
Yeah, for him, it was a huge step up, and I think that it might be a recognition for him on all the potential that can be in the future for.
I hope
Yeah,
he does
Sandler.
more because, like, you
Me
know,
too.
Punch Drunk Love,
Yeah.
Reign Over Me, which wasn't a great movie, but
Yeah.
it showed like, and even Click got emotional at some parts.
It did. That was a sad movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey.
I was like, I was not prepared for that.
The Wedding
ride.
Singer hits
The
me
Wedding
right
Singer,
here.
He
too.
was
Yeah.
good. That somebody.
The Wedding Singer, I feel like is like the perfect balance of that. His
I
Adam
loved
Sandler
it. No, I
comedy.
thought that was great because that movie was like so. Yeah, that was a good one. I know a lot of people who think that's like his best movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I'm a fan of Big Daddy.
That was a good one.
That
Actually,
was
yeah, I
a
like that
really
one too.
good-
I remember watching
That's
that when
probably
I
my
was really
favorite
young.
Sandler
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, that was good.
And that was like the start of like, oh, this guy can like actually act.
yeah,
you
because it
know,
was kind of emotional too. John Stewart was in it.
Yeah.
That was like one of his like really early movies.
because I
Yeah.
think it was after all those, you know, all the Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore movies. Because it was like 2000. This movie, Big Daddy, came out.
99 or 2000. I think it was 2000.
It was definitely
Yeah.
like an early 2000s.
Because I watched it
movie.
when I was really young. Like I was still in like first grade maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
But yeah, that was the start of
That's all my
like,
comments.
or Adam Sandler showing people that he could actually act if he takes it seriously.
Any other final comments?
That's it.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That was a pretty satisfying discussion.
That was a
I
good
don't know.
flick.
Yeah.
Cause there's
Yeah.
things that could have been better. I feel
Could
like
have
in the
been
long
better.
run.
It was still top 5 favorite for me this year. at
Oh
least.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah, I definitely.
Yeah. What?
There's a lot
When
there.
you say
Actually-
this year, you mean 2019?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, 2019. My
Okay.
bad. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna put Cats in my top 5. Nah, I'm just kidding.
I didn't know what
seen
to
it?
say. I was
You
like,
seen it?
the
I've seen it.
You know what we should do? Is
Yeah.
the podcast should just end like The Sopranos after that. It should just go black.
Tim, your credibility has been shot
cut
after
Yeah.
that.
Your mic really
Let's
just falls
cut it
out.
there.
Yeah, you keep talking. Like
Do
there's no
not
sound.
subscribe. Do-
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
I saw Cats. It's a terrible movie, but I won't Like I genuinely had a good time watching it.
Hey, that's
Like
fair.
it's one of those movies that like this is actually a real thing that's happening.
You paid to see that?
And I was high as hell while watching it. So I was high with my friends, so that added another element of
Cats
like,
was the
enjoyment
greatest
to it.
movie of 2019.
It just looks weird. I think it's the looking part, the way they look.
I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
CGI was very weird, and then, like there was
I
a
haven't
whole
seen
thing.
it.
There was a whole thing where it's like they had to pull back the movie and re-edit it again because like none of the shots were like rendered properly and stuff. So it's like
That's funny.
I'm like, come on, guys, that's rookie mistake.
It's kind of weird. It's like
That's like missing. That's like something so stupid. Like if some guys were recording a podcast and didn't record the entire thing.
Yeah.
Didn't record sound. That's some stupid shit.
never happened. Never happened in 21st Century Underground.
Yeah. No.
No, not at all.
No,
Yeah.
never.
But hey, and speaking of 21st Century Underground,
Twice.
Salvatore, help sign us out.
Oh shit! Yeah, we should get out of here because we've eaten up enough of your time. Anyway, so yeah, we'll be back next Wednesday with another upload. Every Wednesday is the plan. And
Tell us if we're full of shit about the
share your thoughts with Uncut Gems on us and the movies of 2019, and give us feedback. Follow us at the 21st Century Underground on Instagram. And then Facebook is the 21st Century Underground Podcast. And then we're also on Spotify and Anchor, as my associate has recently told me.
And soon iTunes.
Whatever that is. And iTunes we'll get to as
We just
well.
need to get to
and
it.
I want to thank Tim for being on today's episode as our guest.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you
First
for
guest,
having me.
first guest, and many
ever.
more. We'll
Yeah.
be bringing experts and people who just like cool things and people who
Exactly.
are actually creating right now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You can only go up from me. So
Tim and Cats 2019. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll be back next week.
Oh wait, did you give your Instagram handle?
you can
yeah.
follow me on Instagram at its_Tim_X. And Two Guys in a Film is available on all streaming platforms, including iTunes. All right.
Do you have Anchor?
No, we don't have Anchor.
have
So
Anchor?
we gotta
Oh,
get on
you-
it. I gotta
you
get
don't
on
have
it.
Anchor,
You gotta
bro?
get
You don't
shit.
got Anchor, bro? Come on.
You gotta get Anchor. We'll talk after the taping.
All right.
So, good night, everybody.
Good night.